I got passed over for a role in leadership. I was pretty young, and I was poised to take over in a leadership role, a management role that would have been a potential direction to a general partnership. I felt like that's all I wanted to do. It was definitely my calling. I felt like it was going to be the path for me, leading people, and I didn't get it. They called me and told me that it was me and another guy, and I got the phone call saying you're not going to do it. It's not you. And they told me that I was a wild card, that I was too unpredictable, and that I wasn't a good manager. And everything they said was right. I actually went home. My wife, after I put the kids down, had a bottle of champagne and 2 glasses, and she was waiting, and she basically was celebrating the fact that it just wasn't the right path for me, and she knew it.
So 2002 embarks on the financial services world, and then how long did it take you to really get going?
So I would say, the first couple years, I knocked on doors, I cold called, I did anything and everything I could to get started. And I built a really good community feel. I started to build the business. I would say, it took about 3 to 5 years to really feel like I was doing well. I think I made 6 figures about 3 years into the role. And back then, that was a really big, I'd never even dreamed of making that much. I mean, I thought if I made like 65, 75K back then, I was killing it. And year 1, I matched my income that I left the other job, and I made like 10K more. Year 1, full year in, I matched the income the next year. So I made the same amount like 2 years in a row. And then the next year we started just really amping it up, and I was building a good practice. About 07, 08, about 07, I had seen about a 20% increase in my business and my income every year. And 08 and 09, I saw a decrease for the first time. It was a stagnation and a decrease because of the entire environment, the financial crisis. But, we came through that, and then I saw a 60% increase coming out of that. All the relationships I made, all the connections, standing by people in the worst of times, helping business owners when they were challenged, and, developers going out of business. I mean, there was so much value out of those challenges. And I learned so much that it was a crash course. You got to figure 20 years. Most people in the business that had taught me were started in the 1980s. And these guys had never seen a downturn until 99 to 2002. And then again, 08 and 09. And that was like it. There were like these small little pockets in 20, 30 years. And then we had seen 2 in a row in a short amount of time. And so it was really good, Gary. It was awesome because I learned a lot, and that's when the business took off. And the quick version is I ran a private practice, and I couldn't get it out of my brain. Here's for your listeners that there was a better way. I got passed over for a role in leadership. I was pretty young, and I was poised to take over in a leadership role, a management role that would have been a potential direction to a general partnership. And I felt like that's all I wanted to do. It was definitely my calling. I felt like it was going to be the path for me, leading people, and I didn't get it. They called me and told me that it was me and another guy, and I got the phone call saying you're not going to do it. It's not you. And they told me that I was a wild card, that I was too unpredictable, and that I wasn't a good manager. And everything they said was right. And I talk about this in my book. I actually went home. My wife, after I put the kids down, had a bottle of champagne and 2 glasses, and she was waiting, and she basically was celebrating the fact that it just wasn't the right path for me, and she knew it. So I spent a year serving under the other guy and doing everything that I knew that we could do. And then I spent that entire year evaluating where my next move would be and how I would build something better. And so in 2016, I started Freedom Street Partners, which was the company that I've built from the ground up. And I was a private practice, $100 million book of business, doing just under $1 million of production a year. And we started something where we built a platform. and we started serving. The average age of a financial advisor is 62 in this industry, and they have no succession plans. Very few of them have catastrophic risk. So I was like, let's build a plan that we can actually serve as the next level for them. And so we started building a platform, and people were attracted to it. And in the I'll pause there for a second because I know that's a lot of stuff, but that's the trajectory.
So what was when you didn't get the job is when you started to think about Freedom Street?
When I didn't get the job, I realized that it was not the place for me. So ultimately, I have always been willing to give something a chance, even if it doesn't feel perfect. And the company that I was with was definitely trending toward, first of all, they'd always been older leadership. So they really, I was a young, hard charger, definitely not perfect fit for that. And there was just a lot of trends I was noticing that I didn't love about the company. And once I didn't get the role, I was aware, I was fine. I was dialed in and attuned to the things that were great for some people, but would never be great for me. And so I just really had a clearer picture of what was best for me. And it wasn't that. And I also knew I could lead people in this industry. And I wanted to change the industry. I wanted to change the way that people think about our industry. I hated all the negative connotations and all the struggles. And, it's lawyer jokes, it's financial advisor jokes, it's accountant jokes. And yet you're the person that's helping people at their hardest moments, when their husband dies and they have nobody, or when their grandchild suddenly passes on and you're helping to create a foundation for them. And these are life-changing, helping people moments that that people do in this industry. And so I wanted to change the industry. And so that was my goal. It was way bigger than just setting up a company.
So how did you come up with the name Freedom Street Partners, and why did you choose that?
So freedom was really important to me. And I really I have a creative side, and I also get a little bit lost in my thoughts sometimes. And I couldn't get out of my head how blessed I felt to be able to start a business from scratch. I couldn't believe that I was walking with my dad, riding his bike when I was a kid, and thinking I could become a police officer or a teacher. And today I'm making very good six-figure income. I'm providing my family with more than I ever dreamed, and it's not good enough. I remember the day I was telling my dad that I was going to leave, and my dad just shook his head and looked at me with this it's never good enough for you. I don't even understand you. He does not. I mean, he literally looked at me with and he was trying to be happy for me, but he was also looking at me what is wrong with you? I don't even know what you earn, Scott, but it's way more than I could ever think of. And so when I thought about freedom, I kept going back to the theme of 1776 and just starting this country, and how it was founded on the restrictions that were placed on people that just wanted to be entrepreneurs. They wanted to build something better. And so I got caught up in that freedom, and there's so many freedom names that it was so beat up. And my assistant of 14, 15 years came in one day and she said, I had a dream last night, and we're going to be called Market Street. And I said, Amanda, that is the worst name I have ever heard in my entire life. We don't want the market to be any part of our name. And we're good friends, by the way. So I'm telling her how horrible of an idea it is. And I said, but wait a second, what if it was Freedom Street? And I plug it into, bringing Wall Street to Main Street. Freedom is a freedom for people. What does freedom mean to you? If we can define that, we can help you really achieve all your dreams and goals. And partners was a partnership between us and our clients, between us and our partners that were advisors with us. We were growing something bigger, better together. And so I looked it up and it wasn't taken. And so I literally bought it right then and there. I reserved the name. I started building the brand, and I wanted to build a national brand. So that was how we started that entire process of the branding of Freedom Street.